When this local resident was setting up to repair his roof, he was suddenly stopped in his tracks. There was a strange bulbous object stuck right between his outer wall and the insulation of his rooftop. At first, he thought it was a hornet's nest, but then experts told him what it really was. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss new stories. John was getting ready to fix his roof since winter was approaching, and he wanted to prepare his home for the cold months ahead. As he examined the roof for damage, he suddenly noticed something strange in the top corner of his attic overhang, right where the wall and roof insulation met. It wasn't just a crack or a gap, it was something wedged in place, something out of the ordinary entirely. John squinted his eyes and focused on the odd sight above him. There was a large, unusual mass nestled just beneath the highest point of his roof. What was it? He had to get up there anyway to replace some broken roof tiles, so he figured he could take a closer look while he was at it. Without hesitation, John went to his shed, grabbed the tallest ladder he could find, and carefully positioned it against the side of his house. He stepped onto the first few rungs with steady confidence, eager to investigate. But the closer he got to the mysterious mass clinging to his house, the more his curiosity began to mix with a growing sense of unease. It looked like some kind of nest. John had dealt with hornet nests before, so he was familiar with their appearance. This one had a similar shape, but something felt off. By now, he was at least 20 feet high, balancing carefully on the ladder. If the nest was filled with aggressive hornets, he could be in serious trouble. A sudden attack could make him lose his balance, sending him tumbling straight down into his garden, where he could get seriously injured. The thought alone made his grip tighten, and every muscle in his body became tense with anticipation and fear. Taking a slow, deep breath, John remained perfectly still on the ladder, trying not to make any sudden movements. But to his surprise, there was nothing. The nest seemed completely dormant, no sound and no movement, which made the situation feel even stranger to him. Then he closed his eyes and focused on listening carefully. If this was truly a hornet nest, there had to be some kind of buzzing sound coming from within, especially for something this large. He waited in silence, ears straining for any movement, but the air remained completely still. There was no sound at all. Not wanting to take any unnecessary risks, he decided to climb down. Rushing into the situation blindly would be reckless. He figured it was best to wait a little while just to see if anything changed. If the nest became active, he'd be able to assess what he was dealing with before making a decision. Patience, he told himself, might save him from a painful or even dangerous mistake. Half of the morning passed as he kept an eye on the nest from below. Yet, despite the time that went by, there was still no movement, no buzzing, no sign of hornets flying in or out. Maybe they're just sleeping, he muttered to himself. Though he knew that hornets were usually quite active during the day, the unusual inactivity made him question what exactly he was really dealing with here. He considered calling pest control just to be safe, but after watching for hours and still seeing no signs of life, he started to rethink the idea. If the nest was abandoned or inactive, he could probably save himself the trouble and money by handling the situation on his own. Besides, curiosity tugged at him, whispering that he might be able to solve this mystery without anyone else getting involved. That he was closer, he realized the nest was even larger than it had appeared. Roughly the size of a duffel bag, it hung awkwardly from the roof. Encouraged, John carefully removed the nest. Surprised by how heavy it was, the density alone signaled something unusual. He descended slowly and safely on solid ground. He placed the nest on his garden table and examined it. Its surface was rough with strange indentations that looked intentionally formed. Instead of a honeycomb interior, he uncovered thick interwoven fibers that felt more animal than insect-made. A strange earthy scent rose from within, raw and organic. The texture was unsettling, as though shaped by something alive and intelligent. Baffled, John decided to call his friend Mark, who had a keen interest in wildlife. He described the object's appearance, location, and bizarre characteristics. Mark's interest was piqued, and though he wasn't an expert, he agreed. It didn't sound like any hornet's nest he'd heard of. "I don't think so," John admitted, noting the weight and strange texture. His growing unease was evident. Mark offered to come by with a few tools. When Mark arrived, he examined the nest with practiced care. "This isn't the work of hornets or wasps," he finally said. "It's organic, but different." His words confirmed what John had feared. John's stomach tightened. Hearing someone else voice the same suspicion made it real. If hornets hadn't built it, then what had? Mark pulled out his pocket knife and sliced into the thick shell. Inside, they found curled bits of what looked like fur woven into the fibers. John blinked in confusion. Fur? The discovery made no sense. Hornets didn't collect fur, or at least not as far as he knew. Mark took a few photos from different angles. "I'll share these in my wildlife group," he said. The decision to document it somehow made it feel more real, more significant. After Mark posted the photos in his Discord group, replies started rolling in, some from curious biologists and naturalists asking for more details. At the same time, John searched online, but found nothing similar. The more they looked, the more elusive the truth seemed. Some believed it could be a bird's nest or a mammal den, but none of the theories fit. Could it be a rodent? John wondered. Still, unease lingered. Unknown to them, the truth behind the strange object was far stranger than anything the Discord group had imagined. And that night, John would receive the first clue about its true nature. Trying to relax on his couch, John sipped tea while the TV played in the background, but his attention wasn't there. His thoughts kept returning to the object on the garden table. The questions refused to fade. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the image of the bizarre nest from his mind. He flipped off the lights as he walked through the quiet house. Everything was still peaceful. Climbing into bed, he pulled the covers up and closed his eyes, hoping sleep would come quickly, but it didn't. His mind refused to settle, still playing the day's events in loops. Eventually, sleep came light, uneasy. Then, suddenly, a loud noise jolted him awake. A low rumble echoed from above, shaking the attic floorboards. His eyes flew open. Fear hit him instantly. At first, he thought something had fallen, but when it happened again, louder this time, in a rhythm, it felt different. Something was moving up there, alive, deliberate, and it was walking across his attic, his eyes locked on the ceiling. The attic hatch in the hallway loomed like a threat. He moved cautiously toward it, debating whether he should open it. Opening his door triggered a reaction. Whatever was up there moved in response. The timing chilled him. It knew he was beneath it. He crept toward the attic, footsteps soft. The attic had been undisturbed for over a year. If something was up there now, it had taken control of the space. Just as he reached the opening, his phone rang loud and piercing. The sound shattered the quiet, and with it came a deep, guttural roar from the attic. Panic surged through him. He scrambled down and slammed the hatch shut. Gasping, he checked the call. It was Mark. John. Mark's voice came through urgently. That thing, it's not a hornet's nest. John held the phone tight. Then what is it? Mark hesitated. It's a storage sack made by a brown bear. The words hit like a punch. A bear in his attic, Mark explained. Bears sometimes crept into homes, crafting food sacks for hibernation. The sounds upstairs made chilling sense now. John's knees went weak. How would a bear even get in? John asked, pacing. Mark answered, wood panel homes are easy to climb and open windows enough. Realization dawned. The object in the shed was the bear's food stash, and he had unknowingly stolen it. A predator was just above him, likely agitated. What do I do now? John asked. Mark didn't hesitate. Call animal control and get out of the house now. He headed for his car, but paused, imagining the bear crashing through the ceiling in search of its stolen stash. Mark's voice snapped him out of it. Get in the car, John, now. John slid into the driver's seat and locked the doors. His hands gripped the wheel, heart still thundering. He stared ahead, mind racing, knowing the danger wasn't over yet. Mark's voice steadied him. Stay put. I'm on my way. I've already called animal control. Moments later, headlights appeared. Mark had arrived. Almost immediately, a white van pulled up behind them. Marked Wildlife Rescue Unit. Two officers stepped out, one with a tranquilizer gun, the other with a clipboard and gear. You're the homeowner? One asked. John nodded. We'll take it from here. The officers acted swiftly. One retrieved a long pole and net. The other readied the tranquilizer gun. We'll try to sedate it. If it panics, we'll contain it. Their confidence was steady, even as John's pulse pounded. From the car, John and Mark watched as the officers entered the house. Their flashlights moved methodically toward the attic. Inside, one officer opened the attic hatch. A deep, guttural growl rolled out low and threatening. John felt the vibration even from outside. Unshaken, one officer climbed the ladder, flashlight sweeping through the space. The other raised the tranquilizer gun. A pair of glowing eyes reflected back, massive and huddled. The bear let out another growl. Big one, the officer muttered. The dart flew a soft hiss and embedded in its fur. The bear growled louder, clearly agitated. For a tense moment, nothing changed. Then it reared up, towering in the attic, roaring. John gripped the steering wheel. Frozen. Slowly, the sedative took hold. The bear wavered, then collapsed with a heavy thud. With practiced effort, they strapped the animal and began the slow, careful process of lowering it from the attic. Seeing the animal contained brought a wave of shaky relief. John stepped out of the car. What happens now? He asked. It'll be relocated to a wildlife sanctuary to hibernate, the officer replied. It won't come back. John exhaled deeply. The thought of a safe attic finally felt real. The van pulled away into the night. The bear safely sedated inside. John and Mark stood in silence, watching the quiet house. The entire night felt unreal. Well, Mark said, smirking, at least hornets won't be your problem anymore. John smiled, tension finally leaving his body. As they stepped inside, the silence was different, comforting. The house was safe again. For the first time in hours, John knew he could finally rest.